Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make 7 different and easy Christmas bows. These can be used for decoration on your tree or decorations for anywhere really, or you can attach them to the top of a gift. Anyway, stay tuned and I'll show you how to make all 7. All right, y'all, bow number 1 is probably one of my most favorite bows to make. It's one of my most popular videos. You've seen me make this bow before, but I'm going to make it again for this video. This is the simple no-tie bow. It looks like a regular bow, but you don't have to tie anything. And for that, I'm going to be using 2 different types of ribbon. You can use 1 color, you can use 2 colors, whatever you want to use. This is 2.5 inches wide. I have this gray and then this plaid here. And what you want to do is to make your bigger loop, whatever color you want to be on the back, okay? Because the big loop is going to be on the back of the bow. So let's say that you have your item here, your wreath, your gift, whatever. However wide you want to make your bow, that's where you need to mark it with your finger here. So this is your open end, and this is the end that you're going to fold. So let's say that I want my bow to be about that wide. Let's just fold that in half. Okay, so our bow is going to be this wide. So we're going to cut it just a tiny little bit longer on this end because we're going to be gluing it together. And now you're going to take your hot glue gun and you're just going to glue those 2 ends together like so. Just press that together, and I'm going to set this off to the side and let that glue harden. Now I have the loop and I have it pressed down. You see how our seam is on the very back now? Now let's just lay that down. So now for our second roll, you want to make another loop, but we're going to make it a little bit smaller, okay? Because you want the front loop to be able to sit on top of that so that you can see this back. So now let's take this and we're going to measure it so that it's a little smaller. And I'm going to fold it right there. And now, like I said, just trim this in just a little bit longer because we're going to glue this one as well. And I've got some spackle on my scissors, man. Did you watch my previous video? I had made some ornaments with some spackle, and for some reason it's on my scissors. I don't know why. So now let's set that off to the side and let that glue set up. Okay, I think this is ready. So now I have the smaller loop on top of the bigger loop. So now what you're going to do is just grab it and bend it forward right here. See how I'm just bending that in half towards me. Now take this top one and bend it back just to that backwards fold. And this can get a little tricky. And then just bend that bottom one back towards that fold. And it's going to look a little wonky until you work with it and you get everything in place. But basically this is what it looks like right now. And you want to try to get it in the center. Try to find that center point. And this is going to look better when we fluff it up here in a second, okay? So try to find that center point, and then I'm just going to put a blob of hot glue right there and hold that in place. And then I'm going to take a piece of floral wire, and I'm just going to kind of wrap it around, and that's just going to hold it. See how I'm tightening that up? Just wrap the wire around it. And then we're going to twist these ends together and trim off the excess. All right, so now this is what we have. So I like to make this centerpiece out of the ribbon that's on the back. So I just took a little piece like this. Now let's flip it over with the pretty side down. And I'm just taking a bit of hot glue and putting it on there. Let me grab this end here and just flip it over. Okay, and then we're just going to take another bit of hot glue and take this back in and fold that over and let that glue set up. So now we have this piece. So let's flip our bow over. This is the back. Put a bit of hot glue there. And we're going to glue the end of this down and hold that in place for that glue to set up. Now we're just going to wrap it around like so. See how that makes the middle of your bow? Just wrap it around and put you another blob of glue. I know we're using a lot of glue here. And then this is what you have once it's glued down on the back. Okay, so now you're just going to take your scissors and let's trim off this excess here. Let's see where I want to cut that. All right, so this is the front of our bow. Like I said, we're going to fluff this up here in a minute, okay? Now, the bigger and wider that you make your bow, the wider you're going to want to get your ribbon, okay? Because if you make this bow really wide, the narrow ribbon, it's not going to look that nice. So get wider ribbon. And the place that you need to go to get your ribbon is Mel's Crafty Mojo. I'm going to have a link in the description box and in a pinned comment. Mel's has the prettiest Christmas ribbon I've ever seen. So go there and check her out. So we have this. Now for our tails. For our tails, I think once again, I'm going to go back with this. So let's just try to decide how long we want this tail. And I'm measuring from the center of the bow here, and I think that'll be good. So let's cut, and we're going to need 2 tails. You don't want your tails being all lopsided. All right, so let's measure this. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Ooh, I got more spackle over there. I've been crafting a lot with spackle, what can I say? So now we're just going to dovetail the ends. No, I don't like to fold my ribbon when I cut it. That was the big joke last year. Everybody's like, you have to fold your ribbon. I don't have to. All right, so I have the tails here. And now let's decide about how far apart you want them to be. I think let's bring it just a little bit closer together. And let's bring this up. Okay. I think that'll look just fine. So now I'm going to take a piece of this gray and I'm going to cut one that is shorter. So let's see. Let's cut this one about right here. And you know, you make your tails however long or however short you want. Doesn't matter. It is to your taste, you know, are the tails going to be hanging down? Are they going to be on a wreath and you want long tails? You can cut long tails. Is it going to be on a gift? You want short tails? That's what I like about these. Very customizable. All right, so now I'm going to dovetail the ends of this one. And I got a bunch of Christmas ribbon over here. I don't know what kind I want to use for the next one. I'm just sitting here looking at it while I'm making this. Okay. So this is looking pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this short piece and just glue it on top of the long piece like so. And we're going to let that glue set up. Okay, now I am using a high temp glue gun. Low temp is just fine. That way you don't have to sit here and wait for your ribbon to set up. Your ribbon to set up. Your glue to set up. I don't know. You might have to wait for your ribbon to set up too. I don't know what you're making. All right. So let's once again take this and look at it and then get our bow into place. Why are you doing this to me? All right. So that looks pretty good. Yeah. Let's get everything where we need it. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to glue these two together. Like so. Just hold that in place. This is ready. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this straight across. Just to kind of, you know, you see these little points sticking up here. We're just going to cut this straight across to even it out. Put some glue right along there. And then just stick our bow directly on top and hold that in place. All right, now you can leave it flat just like this, or let's see, where's our loopy loops? You can fluff it up just a little bit. Just kind of poof these out. That's what I like about having long nails. I use them as tools. I am so clumsy with short nails. In some of my older videos, I did have short nails, and I felt very clumsy, but you know, I use these as tools. All right, so let's poof that out. Well, I had that pressed down kind of hard, didn't I? All right, now all poofed up and ready to go on the tree or a package. How cute is that? And simple. I know there was a lot of steps, but most of that was just waiting for the glue to set up. But anyway, pretty, pretty. That is bow number 1. All right, so our next bow here, I think works better with thinner ribbon. So this is 1.5 inches wide. You're going to need your ribbon and some floral wire. So what you want to do is say, okay, how wide do I want my bow? Let's say that we want our bow this wide. Now, because this bow is very puffy and loopy, you're going to want to add a few inches to the width. If you say, okay, this is how wide I want my bow, you need to add a little bit to that, okay? Because like I said, once you start fluffing it up, it's going to draw up a little bit, okay? Now you're just going to take this. Let's see, this ribbon pretty much is double-sided. So you're going to just take your ribbon and at your width, you're just going to fold it over like so. And then you're just going to keep making loops just like that. Really easy. Just keep making loops. And I usually do 6 or 8 loops. Okay, keep going. And you're going to want to count. So this is the folded edge. Count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's keep it going. 4. Like I said, I'm going to keep going until I have 8. Okay, so we are done here. Just going to cut this. Let's get this out of the way. So now you have your big, get back in there. So now you have your big, huge loop. And we need to flatten it out. And let's try to find the center. We're going to fold it up like that, and right there, that looks like it'll be a good center. Now what you're going to want to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut notches, but not all the way through, okay? Don't cut all the way across. You still want to leave a part of the ribbon in there. So let me do that again because I let it go. All right, so take your scissors and you see how I'm cutting kind of like at an upwards angle. You see about how far I cut over there? Okay, now let's flip it over and you're going to cut again, kind of not all the way through, because then you're going to ruin the whole bow. Just kind of cut. Okay, you see about how much I have there? Let's make double sure that we don't have too much cut on the back. So I want to cut just a little bit more. Okay, all right. So now that we have that, we're going to take some wire and we're going to wrap that around the center. So let's cut us a piece. I know I'm cutting wire with my scissors. I'm like, don't do that. I will do it if I want to. So now you're going to take your piece of wire here. I'm just laying it down on top of the bow. And I'm wrapping it around, get it down in that little groove that we just cut. And then we're going to twist it to hold it in place, and I want to go back around just to reinforce this, okay, because this wire here is kind of thin, and I want to make sure it's really secure. Okay, now let's go back. Make sure that it's in your little grooves. We want to get in the groove here. Just make sure it's in the grooves. Okay, and then we're going to tighten it down again and trim off the ends of the wire. So this is what we have. Now all you're going to do is just start flipping your loops out. And now you see these pieces here where we cut it. You can take that and you can twist it. You see how you could just twist little notches around each other? Now this bow is easy, but it does take a few minutes to get it to looking right, okay? So you just have to fan it all out, and let's get a good idea of how big this bow is going to be. And I do that before I put the tails on, okay? So we're going to make sure just how big it is. And then we're going to wire the tails on, okay? Okay, so let's get a look. Okay, so where did my ribbon go? Just had, aha! So now, take your bow there, and let's determine how long you want your tail. That looks okay. And then let's fold that in half and then cut it. Now I'm going to cut one more of these. Okay, so I like using ribbon that is double-sided for bows like this. And you'll see why with the tails. But anyway, and it doesn't look bad, you know, so you have the front of your ribbon, but the back side also looks like the front. So when you're looking through these loops, you don't have like a good side and a bad side, you know? So anyway, now we have this for our tail. Just fold that in half, and then I'm going to gather it right here, and I'm going to wrap a piece of floral wire around that and tighten it down. Okay, now I have flipped my bow over. This is the back, and I'm just going to pick one of these ribbons, and I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it around it. Now, if you want to, you can fold all these back down and wrap your tail directly around the center, whatever you want to do. but this is the way that I do it. So we're going to get this wire out of the way first. Like I said, I attach mine like this. You attach yours however you want. Okie dokie. Cut that. See, I'm doing it, you know, you can add as many tails as you want to, and I might add some more here in a minute. But just for the time being, I'm putting these on there. There we go. Okay, now what you do, you just continue to go around and fluff your bow up. Now, if you're going to store these bows, because I know somebody's going to ask, if you store these bows, you could take tissue paper and ball it up and cram it down in the loops before you store it. You know, bows are tricky to store. But anyway, you just continuously just go around. Like I said, this is going to take you a while. This bow, even though it's sampled, I think sometimes takes the longest. Because, you know, you're just flipping these. You're just moving them around to make them look good. So give me a minute and we'll come back. Okay. So I'll probably go back and fluff this some more. But for the time being, I'm going to call it done. So there's our tails there. And then here is our big loopy bow. So I'm going to set this off to the side. And we'll get started on the next one. For bow number 3, we're going to be using this little thin ribbon. And this is not wired ribbon. This is just thin ribbon. Now, people are calling these messy bows, scrappy bows, whatever you want to call them. My mom and my grandma both crafted on professional levels. And they always had, you know, scraps of fabric and ribbon laying around. And they would throw them in this big bag. And then when the bag was full, they would just take all the stuff out and make these bows. We didn't really have a name for it. We just called them bows. But anyway, this one is probably the easiest. So what you do, you just take all the ribbon that you want. And normally this would be, you know, bags of scraps or a box of scraps. But because this ribbon's brand new, I'm just going to say, all right, I want my ribbon to be, or my bow rather, I'm sorry. I want my bow to be this big. And so you're just going to start cutting ribbon to whatever width you want it. These are going to be your back pieces. And when I say back pieces, you'll see what I mean here in a minute. So I'm just going to start cutting these. I think just 2 of each of the patterns for this width, length, whatever you want to call it. And then once I get those cut, we'll make some shorter ones. Okay, so I've got all those cut, and I'm going to take a piece of this twine, and that's what I'm going to use to tie it all together. So, because we're getting ready to start layering them here in a minute, I'm just going to go ahead and take the twine and lay it down. Why is it so curly? Because it was coming out of the center of the thingy. So now just take your ribbon and start layering it. Not necessarily just straight across, but you kind of want to crisscross it. And that's just going to help it to lay better. All right, now let's take this and we'll cross it. I only cut one piece of that. It's all right. We'll cut another one. Crafting isn't always straightforward and perfect. Okay. So now let's get this. And now we're going to cut more pieces, but we're going to cut it a little bit shorter than these. I'm just crossing that like so. So now let's cut a few more pieces. And I'm going to say, let's go right about here with it. So this is our shorter piece, and I'm going to cut 2 of those out of each one of our prints. All right, so we've got our shorter pieces here, and we're just going to start layering those. And as we go, they're just going to get shorter and shorter until we have a nice big stack of them. So I'm just going to keep layering these. I'm going to cut more that's even shorter, and then even shorter, and then we're going to tie them all together. So let me get these layered here. Like I said, I'm going to keep cutting more, and then we'll see what that does. All right, so I have all of these layered here, and then we're just going to take this, and I'm going to tie, you know, you can use ribbon for this too if you want to. I'm just going to use this and then tie it really tightly. See how it kind of puffs up just a little bit. I kind of like using the twine because, you know, it grabs itself as you're tying and kind of, you know, helps it to hold in place, whereas ribbon is kind of slippery. All right, tie that really tightly. Okay, now you see how that's kind of puffing up there? That's what we're looking for. I'm just going to tie it again. Now you can leave these big long tails on here if you want to take this, you know, to tie it onto something, or you can trim it off. Doesn't matter. All right. So we're going to, let's just fluff this up a little bit. And you can kind of spin them around. See, I'm kind of pulling them around to kind of make it a little bit more rounder. But these kind of bows here look really good on gifts. You know, because when you lay it flat, you see how that kind of sticks up, and then you can take these and just kind of pull them and twist them around however you want. I have a stack of ribbon here. It'll take me a second to get everything exactly in place the way I want it. But, all right. And it keeps wanting to fall over. But once you get this on a gift or something, there. See how that stands up? And it's just really cute and rustic looking. And you don't waste ribbon because you're just using whatever you have, you know, scraps on hand. But anyway, a really super simple bow. All right, let's move on to bow number 4. Bow number 4. So this one is just a tiny little bow. And I'm going to be using my hands for this. But here in a second, I'm going to show you how you can do this. Or you know what? Let me just go ahead and tell you right now. If you don't want to use your fingers for this, if you don't want a bow that small, if you need a bigger one, what you can do is get you a block of floral foam and then get you some wooden skewers and stick the skewers down into the foam the width that you want your bow. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here because I'm going to use my fingers. But anyway, you're going to take your bow, oh my goodness, you take your ribbon. And let's go ahead and cut us a good piece. And take your tail. This is what we're going to have for our tail. And I'm just holding it between my 2 fingers like so. Now, we're going to take this part, bring it around the back like that. Bring it all the way around the back and just hold it off here to the side. Now you're going to take it and go down and push under the ribbon here. And pull that out the back. See how I did that? I brought it around. I'll do another one here in a second. Bring it up through the back. Now, as you can see, we have a loop right here. You're going to want to take your ribbon, bring it over, and tuck it under that loop. Grab that tail and tighten it up. Slide it off your fingers. And there's a cute, perfect little bow. Now you're just going to, let's give this a good twist and tighten it up just to make sure that your ribbon is facing the correct way. Just takes a second. Okay. And there's our little bow. You just need to pull your tails down. Now this ribbon that I'm using here is kind of on the stiffer side. Softer ribbon works best for this, believe me. And there's a tiny little bow. And now you take your scraps and you put it in a bag so that you can make one of those scrappy bows that I just showed you how to make. All right, so let's get another piece of ribbon. I'll show you again. This one seems to be softer than that. I ain't sure. Okay, so take it, hold it like this with the tail sticking off that end. Bring it around the back, then go below everything between your fingers and push it back. Now take this tail, come over everything and tuck it under that loop like so. There's your tail. And just snug it down. Then just pop it off your fingers. And this is a good way to make a bunch of uniform bows. And you just trim off your tails. Sharpen your scissors before you do it. And there is a perfect, easy little bow. Let's get the other one. Put him here. There you go. Moving right along. So now I have this 2.5-inch ribbon, and I just cut it my height. I'm 5'9", so I just put the end on the floor, pull it to the top of my head, and cut it. So anyway, let's say that this is going to be our tail here, okay? Because once you get into tying it, this tail is going to get just a little bit longer. But let's say, okay, this is going to be the tail. And now we're going to tie a bow just like you would tie your shoelaces. You know, just a regular bow. I'm going to bring this. I'm trying to be careful with this. It keeps wanting to hang on my microphone stand over here. I'm just going to bring it around and tie a bow. Like I said, just a regular, like a shoelace bow. Okay, then we're going to straighten it out, pull it tight. Now get your loops to whatever size you want them. That looks pretty good. Okay. See, just a regular bow. Now bring the rest of your ribbon below and behind with the pretty part facing you. Okay. And I'm trying to hold this still every few seconds so that if y'all need to stop the video and look at it, you can. So now you're just going to bring it straight up the back. Now we're going to just tie another bow. So make a loop. Try to keep it the same size as these. Get everything correct. Okay, there's our loop. Now, bring your ribbon up from the bottom. See, here's our knot. Bring it up from the bottom around the knot. And we're just going to tie it again. So basically all that we're doing is just tying bows on top of each other. And it's going to look messy for a minute till we get it all straightened out. So now we have 4 loops. Like I said, just give me a minute to straighten it out. So now we have 4 loops. Okay. Now we can get one more. Just bring your ribbon up to the back, pretty part facing you, and make a loop. Like so. Now once again, bring this up the front, in front of the knot, and around, and just tie a bow. Okay. So let me pull this through. It gets a little tricky once you're kind of getting to the end here. Like so. All right. So now, all you're going to do is just start fluffing out your loops. So let me fluff it and I'll be back. All right, I'm going to call that done for now. I've still got just a little bit more fluffing up to do. But what I like about this bow is it gives you this nice big flat center. And y'all know I love gluing on embellishments and just add a little extra something to my bows. So what I have here, this is a little piece of plastic candy. Comes in a pack like this. I got this from Hobby Lobby. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to glue that down in the center of the bow. Like so. Like I said, because it gives you this nice, this wonderfully flat center. Now, if you look at Walmart, you know, they have beautiful Christmas buttons. And bows like this are so cute with a Christmas button glued in the center. So, you know, you can make various loopy bows, but doing like the triple stacked bow like this, it gives you that nice flat center. You glue that on. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and I will fluff this up just a little bit more. And that will be that. I also need to straighten out this tail here. Trying to be careful because I don't want to dislodge what I just glued down. But anyway, that is bow number 5. Okay, moving along. First off, just go ahead right off the bat and get you a piece of floral wire and bend it in half, or use a pipe cleaner and just lay it off to the side and don't lose it like I lost it a while ago. So now let's pull out some ribbon here. This, once again, is 2.5 inch wired ribbon. If you want ribbon, check out Mel's Crafty Mojo. I'm telling you, she has the most beautiful, high quality ribbon you're going to find in the description box, and I'll pin a comment. There's going to be a link. Go check her out. So anyway, let's determine how long we want the tail. That looks pretty good. So let's hold that right there. And now you're going to take your ribbon and let's make a loop. Boop. Like so. So, okay, that looks pretty good. So over here is our tail. Don't worry about the tail. Here's our first loop. So now you're going to take it and try to make a loop the same size. Okay. So we're just going to take our ribbon and bring it back this way. And let's get ourselves another loop. Okay, let's see. Let's hold this. That looks pretty good. Does that look good to y'all? I pull a little bit more. Okay. Just keep all this squished with your fingers here. Let's pull out more ribbon. That's such a bad habit of not pulling out enough ribbon. All right. So now that we have that there, you're going to take it and just make another loop. Okay. Let's try to get it the same size. Like so. Make sure we're trying to get them exactly the same size. I know it's hard. Okay. So now take it and just bring it back like so and make another loop. Okay, let's take a look. Need to pull that a little bit more. Let's pull that. Okay, let's get everything the way we want it. Okay, and that looks good. Now, right when we're holding everything, that's where you're going to wrap your wire. So let me get my wire here. Where did it go? Right here. Wrap your wire around the front, bring it around, and let's give it a good twist in the back just to hold everything together. And I know I'm squishing it, but we're going to fluff it out here in a second. So I'm just going to lay it down and tighten up my wire. Okay, so these are fluffed out to the best of my ability right now. And I have cut my ribbon. So now we're going to come down here and we're just dovetailing the ends like so. Dee-dee-dee. I could have done this off camera, but you know what? I didn't. Okay, just cut up like so and get that out of the way. All right, so there is our double loop bow. I'm just going to fluff it out a little bit more and get everything all into place. Now, if you want, you know how we did our other bows? How I made like a little band to go around the center? You can do that, or you can leave it like this. Now, we'll take a look at it right quick to see what it looks like this. So I'll just lay there and let you look at it. And now that you've seen that, I will get a piece of this ribbon and we will cut it and make a little piece to go around the middle. So let's see. Let's get this going here. And you've seen me do this on a bunch of previous bow videos. Let's get that out of the way. Lay flat. So I'm just going to run a line of glue and fold it over. Okay. And then we're going to put on another line of glue and we're going to fold it over like so. And now I'm going to give it a second and let this glue set up. Okay, so I have the bow flipped upside down here, and I'm just going to put a blob of glue, and we're going to take our little piece here, and we're going to put it right there, and I'm just going to hold that in place and let that glue set up. I believe that has set up, so now just bring it around. Make sure your loops are on one side and your tails are on one side. Okay, so let's kind of snug it up, try to make everything even. And we're going to put another blob of glue there. Just bring that up, and now let's hold that and let that glue set up. Okay, so I think that is good, and now we're just going to trim this. Okay, and there we go. Now just come back and let's fluff these up a little bit. Now how super easy was that? And it works so well with this ribbon that, you know, is double-sided. Let's see, let's just bring that down like so. Okay, let's fluff it out. And I'll fluff all these out better here in a little bit. I mean, you've already seen the pictures of them at the beginning of the video, and I'll show them to you again at the end of the video, okay? So, there is a very easy double loop bow. All right, y'all, we are almost done. So, I have more ribbon here, of course, that is 2.5 inches. And I'm just going to trim this edge off right quick. And then I also have some ribbon here that is 1.5 inches, and both are wired ribbons. Now we're going to be running these together. When I say running them together, I mean they're going to be layered. Okay, so let me just go ahead and get some off the spool here. Why are you tangled up? I don't know. Now let's determine how wide we want our bow to be. So I say that wide would be okay. Now fold it in half. And bring it around, and just like we did on the other video, because we're going to be gluing the ends, cut it just a little bit longer than that edge there, okay? Let's cut that. All right. Now this little loop that I'm making here, we're going to be making two. All right. So let's get everything together. Bring these edges, and we're going to put some glue here. And then we're going to bring this one up and glue on top, like so. I'm going to have to put another little dot right there to glue the green down. Okay. And now we're just going to let this glue set up. And like I said, we're going to make two of these, okay? So whatever we just did here, go ahead and make another one. All right, so the glue has set up, and now let's flip these over because this is the side that we have the glue on. So let's just flip everything up, and now we're going to kind of crisscross these. Not straight across like this, but we're just going to kind of crisscross these. Let's see. That looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like just a dot of hot glue there just to hold everything in place for a few minutes here. Okay, let's press that there. Let's hold that. All right, so now let's cut some tails. Decide how long you want your tails. And I'm just going to cut this ribbon all at once. That looks good. Now let's just fold that in half. We're going to knot the ribbon onto the floor, but it's okay. It's okay. We're going to clean all this mess up here in a little bit. Probably not today. We'll get to it at some point. Okay, so now there we have our tails, and now I'm going to dovetail the ends. All right, so now I have here a piece of floral wire, and I'm just going to get that out of the way. I'm going to lay this down here, and let's try to determine where the center of our tails. Let's see. You know what? Let's just pick this up and try to see like where the center is. I'm trying to not bump this glue gun over here because I already bumped it a while ago, and now I have a boo-boo. All right, right there. Now we're going to lay this directly on top of that. And now let's pick up our wire and give it a good twist. See, we're just going to try to squish everything down in the middle. Just squish it down, squish it down. Give it a good twist, and then bring it back around the back and give it another good twist. And then once I get this tightened down, I'm going to trim off the ends. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and you're going to take your tails and just bend them down like so. And they're wired to the bow part, so everything is good. Just kind of pull it down and squeeze it for a second. Okay, let's get all this straightened out. And we'll fluff these out here in a minute, okay? I know it's looking rough, but give me a second. And we're going to do the same thing that we did on some of these other bows. We're just going to take this, just a scrap of the red ribbon, or I could have used the green, but I like the red. And we're just folding over the edges, just like we've done a bunch of times before, just to make this little centerpiece. And we're going to hold this for a second and let it set up. Okay, I think this has set up. You know what? I want to trim off this raggedy end. And I know you're not going to see it because it's going to be on the back, but anyway. All right, so flip your bow over. And just like we've done a bunch of other times, we're going to glue this down. We're going to hold it. We're going to wrap it around. And then glue the other end in place. Just like that, and hold it till the glue sets up. All right, so that is pretty much done. You can leave it like this, or just kind of fluff it out a little bit. I know some of these bows look similar, but you know, I like to give you different ways of making them, you know. Because some people might like one technique and not like another. So I try to give, you know, different ideas. Okay, let's fluff it out a little bit. Like so. And then that bow is done. All right. I got a little edge there I need to trim off. And then I'll get the glue off my fingers and everything will be good. But there is that one. So anyway, that's all. I might make another bow video in the near future. I hope this helps somebody. I hope this helps you to make a bow, and I hope it wasn't intimidating. I try to do it, you know, simple bows. Anyway, just keep working at it and you're going to get it. I promise you, you're going to get it. So if you would, please give this video a thumbs up, click subscribe, check me out on other forms of social media, the links to all of which will be in the description box down below. And I hope to see y'all next time. Bye.